Okay, we're going to go up next. We have the sustainable content presentation. We'll be hearing from Nash Steele, the Senior Operations Coordinator for EBCE, and Valerie Kavanaugh, the Senior Sales Manager for EBCE, about the numerous favorable licensing options and content offerings available from the Palace Project ecosystem. And I'll go ahead and I will stop sharing my screen here and pass it over to Nash and Cav.
Good afternoon. Hello, everyone. My name is Cav, as Tara mentioned, and I am the Senior Sales Manager for the EBCE division here at Lyrasis, which encompasses the Palace Project. We are going to talk about sustainable content, and please bear with me. My computer did crash, so I'm trying to speak to you all through my phone. Nash, I'm going to ask if you can go ahead and put the slide deck up, please.
Yeah, definitely. Give me just a second.
Thank you.
Everyone, just making sure I'm on the right document here. Okay. Can everyone see that okay?
I see it.
Oh, good. Okay, perfect.
All right, thank you. All right, if we can go to the next slide, please. We'd like to start off our presentation by asking a question, and we would like for you just to simply click on the QR code, and then the tally for the poll results will be shared at the end of this session. So in a perfect world, what would an ebook license look like to you? Again, I'll repeat that. In a perfect world, what would an ebook license look like to you? Okay, so how Palace helps libraries and librarians. Palace offers flexible licensing models, which we'll discuss in a little bit more detail, unique publisher licenses, both perpetual and simultaneous use licenses, ownership, and annual subscription licensing models for all of our e-content. Now, various publishers, of course, will offer different type of licenses, but our goal is to ultimately provide a variety of licensing models for our library partners. Palace also helps libraries and librarians by providing custom lists and lanes, which help librarians feature content within the Palace Project app. So on the back end is the Palace Collection Manager, which is where our team of folks can assist your library should you wish to promote just YA titles, or say it's a specific month or time of the year, Black History Month, Women's History, anything like that. And as we know, Palace, of course, will aggregate your e-content, and we'll take that content together and put that in what we like to call our swim lanes. And that was where the custom list and lane creation takes place. We also provide our libraries with digital curation support and services. That is a service that is provided to our library partners at no cost. You do not need to be understaffed or be a small library or even a large library. We've had state libraries, consortias, large urban libraries, and so forth lean into Palace and our curation core of librarians, which makes up of over about 10 librarians across the United States. And they work to provide a customized digital curation cart for our library partners upon their request. In the next slide, I'm going to talk about our licensing options. So, of course, we like to pride ourselves on the fact that we are unique and we are different. And I think you're going to be able, just by looking at the screen here, to understand why we feel that way. So perpetual use and one at a time lens. That's really going to allow your library to have collections that will remain in your digital catalog for years to come without having to renew any of those licenses. That helps libraries to manage their budgets year over year and to also free up some of the monies that they have to perhaps buy down hold lists or queues, or even use some of those additional funds to repurpose them into other services that may be offered by your library. But not only do we have perpetual licenses, but there are options for subscription sim use licenses as well. Very similar to the perpetual use, but this is quite different because now we're bringing forth the idea of having a perpetual and sim use licensing model, or you can have a subscription sim use licensing model. Again, giving your libraries the opportunity to have that choice and flexibility when it comes to purchasing e-licenses or titles for your library. Then we're moving on to bundles of 40 lens with 10 lens available at a time. This is very unique to Palace. Currently, we are the only e-content distributor that's making this license model available for our library partners. And this really came about by the requests from our early adopters. They wanted to see what would a licensing model look like for an ebook or an audiobook that can similarly relate to what we have for our physical titles on our shelves. And this is really if you're looking to not have to worry about perhaps renewing a license after 2 years or 1 year, but also maybe even if you only have 26 lens, one at a time. We're looking to allow for libraries to offer a licensing model to help to reduce the whole queue, allow for your patrons to source content in a more congruent fashion. Then we have our bundles of five concurrent loans. That is also very unique to the Palace project. That's what we call our bite-size offering, so that a library can test a title to see if that title will circulate. Of course, it is a lower overall cost for entry, so to speak, but there is a higher cost per circ. This really suits libraries that may have a title that they think may be appealing to their communities, but they're not necessarily looking to invest perhaps, $40 or $50 for an audiobook, but and differently, they may be able to purchase that same audiobook for $20 for a 5x5 licensing model. Then at the top of the year, Penguin Random House did extend a very unique licensing model currently made available through the Palace Marketplace, and that's our one lens, one at a time. There are over 95,000 titles currently available. I believe now we're at 120 titles, which Penguin Random House has made available that lend themselves to this specific licensing model. And last but not least, our ownership model. We've heard the cries. Librarians really do want to have the ability to own the digital content. And so we're making that available by offering over 38,000 titles that are available to our libraries should they wish to own that licensing model. Now, what's really interesting about that licensing model is with the publisher and the imprints that has extended that licensing model, IPG, Independent Publishers Group, they have really made it so that it's really appealing. So if you're looking to purchase a title that may have a 40x10 licensing model or a one at a time licensing model, but again, not necessarily time bound, for a similar cost, if not the same exact cost, you can own that title. So it really, again, gives your library the opportunity to make the choice and how you're going to spend your dollars when it comes to your e-content purchases. And on the next slide, you'll see there are some hyperlinks that are included for our libraries. So should we, when the end of the presentation, we'll be sharing out the deck, and I've included here some hyperlinks for your libraries to be able to peruse the special offers that are now available, not only from Penguin Random House, but also from Macmillan. Now, if we move on to what is going on and what's in the works for Palace, we're continuing to explore favorable licensing models across the board with the big five publishers. Of course, we have now received unique licensing and very different from what you'll see otherwise from Penguin Random House as well as Macmillan, but now we're also having those same discussions with HarperCollins. Of course, we have the conversations in the works with expanding ownership model with eBound, and that's a Canadian indie publishers group. We have Canadian libraries that have onboarded and that are Palace Library partners. And we want to make sure that we are providing e-content throughout all of our e-content ecosystem to benefit all of our library partners here in the US and abroad. The ongoing unique relationships, I'm sure many of you know or have heard, but for several years now, Audible and Amazon have both made their content available on the Palace Marketplace. And Audible's offering over 7,000 titles, and they all have very unique licensing models, many of which were just recently highlighted. The 40 by 10, the 5 by 5, the one copy, one user, perpetual. Those are licensing models that you would see associated to not only Audible titles, but also the Amazon titles as well. Now, let me go into a little bit about assistance with selection. So our curation core of librarians, I indicated that there are about 10 librarians across the US that are currently working with us and to provide this service, which we're excited about. And we're able to provide not only the cart developments individually by request for libraries, but we're also making sure that what we're featuring in the Palace Marketplace can focus on the new titles, the bestsellers, and any content that has unique licensing models included, so that as we are putting together various lists and lanes within the marketplace, all of those are being made in front and center for our libraries, so that then when they're making their selections for their titles, in essence, the work has been done for you. We want to be able to have carts that are in those featured lanes that are easy to purchase. So when we're putting together various highlights of, say, Women's History Month, all that work, again, has been put forth and organized, keeping in mind that librarians, of course, are very busy, and we want to make sure that at least there's a starting point for your collection development, and we're here to assist with that. A collection development intake questionnaire is made available for our libraries should they wish to look forward to that service or tap into that service rather. And we do ask pretty in-depth questions so that we are certain that when we come back and revert the content of the cart or what has been curated on your behalf, that we are meeting all of your needs as specified. Now, moving right along, I'm going to pass the baton over to Ms. Nash, who's going to speak about some additional unique Palace e-content collections.
Thanks, Cav. That was a really great overview. I'm going to dive in a little more detail on these specific collections that we offer here. I just also wanted to remind everyone, if you have any questions, we'll have time for Q&A at the end, so feel free to throw those in the Q&A. And also, if you'd like to participate in the poll, the link is in the chat as well, so feel free to do that, and we'll show the answers at the end. So some of the collections that we're going to talk about today are the Discovery Collection and the Indie Author Project Select. If you were on the last session and you heard people talking about the BiblioBoard collection, that is what we're calling the Discovery Collection here. So hopefully I'll be able to answer all of your questions about that. So across both of these collections, we offer over 50,000 diverse titles in a variety of genres and for all age ranges. So juvenile fiction and nonfiction, YA, comics, adult fiction and nonfiction. And these collections are really designed to celebrate inclusivity. So we feature DEIA-focused works, Indigenous and LGBTQ plus voices, local authors, and a wealth of independent publishing. Libraries also get flexible licensing options, making it easy to build collections that meet your patrons' needs and your budget. So what makes this collection unique? I mentioned the flexible licensing options, and Cav kind of went over this in the other slide as well. So we offer perpetual subscriptions and 1 year subscriptions for these particular collections. So for the perpetual option, that means the titles will appear in your library's catalog for years to come. The library effectively has perpetual access to that book. What's really great about that is the library pays a one-time fee up front. There's no need to renew the license on an annual or a biannual basis. We also offer 1 year subscriptions. So in this case, it could be a little bit more budget friendly, or if you'd like to try some content out, see how your patrons respond, try it for 1 year. If it gets a lot of circulations and they really seem to like it, you could renew that content. Or if it gets lower circulations, you could always swap it out with different titles. So that's kind of a flexible option with the 1 year subscription. And both of these options, the perpetual and subscription, are offered in an unlimited simultaneous use model. So that means that any number of people can read the same book at the same time. So there aren't any holds or wait times. They can just click right in and read the book, which patrons really appreciate. It's also great for promoting lesser known authors and titles. So let's dive in on what you'll find in this Discovery collection. So from popular fiction and nonfiction to YA, educational materials, comics, and graphic novels, there's something for every patron. We work with trusted publishers like Barber, Ocean View, Gibbs Smith, and Chicago Review Press, just to name a few. And the focus isn't on quantity, it's on high value, high engagement content that patrons actually want to read. Graphic novels are consistently one of our most popular categories. We partner with major names like Dark Horse Comics, Image Comics, Valiant Entertainment, Archie Comics. Marcosia is a new comics and graphic novels publisher that we signed on recently, as well as more. These higher circulation titles mean that the patrons are highly engaged, which also means more opportunities to connect with younger and reluctant readers. So those who might not be very interested in reading could find the comic and graphic novel, uh, more appealing or easier to dive into. Showcasing graphic novels on Palace is a great way to draw new patrons into your digital collections as well. Another area where the Discovery Collection really shines is world language content. So we offer ebooks in 30 plus languages, including Spanish, Chinese, Vietnamese, Arabic, French, Korean, Russian, Portuguese, and more. As you'll see on the map here, the countries where their language is represented in our collection are highlighted. And we're always trying to add new languages that really support your community. So if you ever have a request for a specific language, please let us know and we'll do our best to add that. We're really trying to grow this collection as much as we can to be as inclusive as we can. Offering this variety of languages helps libraries serve multilingual communities and make their collections more inclusive and accessible. And supporting patrons in their first language strengthens your library's role as a central community resource. So we're really excited about being able to offer content in a variety of different languages. And the Discovery Collection is always growing. We're constantly adding new publishers and expanding categories to meet your community's evolving needs. That means your patrons always have fresh, relevant content to explore. Some publishers that I'm particularly excited about that we've added on recently are Adventure with Keen. It's a nature focused publisher. So they offer things like field guides, trail guides, general books about camping, hiking, but they're very like region focused. So they have, for example, like a Southeast collection, a Pacific Northwest collection. So wherever you are, they have nature books that are relevant to you. So that's been popular with libraries recently. I'm also really excited about Shout Mouse Press. They're a nonprofit publisher that works with marginalized teenagers. So they actually help them write and publish their own books from start to finish. Um, and a lot of these books are amazing, really great quality, have won awards. So it's a really exciting project to be a part of and support. And like I mentioned, we're adding new publishers all the time. So the other collection that I mentioned at the beginning that I wanted to share with you guys is the Indie Author Project, which is part of the eBooks and Community Engagement Division here at Lyrasis. So the Indie Author Project is a turnkey solution for libraries to support local authors and help them reach new readers. Authors submit their ebooks directly through the library, and we provide the technology to make that process seamless for the library. Submissions are carefully vetted by the Indie Author Project team, and the best of the best books are featured in the IAP Select commercial collections, which are available right in the Palace Project. And this is really a holistic approach. So it's about supporting local creatives, building a community archive of those locally created books, and helping libraries connect patrons with homegrown talent. So let's get indie with it. Why include indie authors in your collection? So the IAP Select commercial collections feature over 1,100 curated ebooks by independent authors across the US and Canada. Access is flexible. It's a similar model to the Discovery Collection. So they're offered in perpetual or subscription options, and they're all unlimited simultaneous use. So, like the other collection, any number of patrons can access the same book at the same time. This collection includes multiple award-winning books, New York Times and USA Today bestsellers, right alongside emerging voices your patrons will love to discover. So think of it as librarian and patron approved. Only the highest quality indie works make it into this collection. And it's not just about adding ebooks, it's about really investing in your community. So purchasing this collection directly contributes to author royalties, meaning your library is actively supporting independent creators. The collection is sold in bundles of 25, so you can, curate whichever kind of collection you want, including by region. So you can highlight homegrown talent right from your own area and connect patrons to authors within their own community. And you can also celebrate success stories like Melissa Bovey, our Indie Author of the Year, whose work is reaching new readers nationwide thanks to IAP. The Indie Author Project also hosts a contest every year, and out of all of each year's winners, one Indie Author of the Year is selected. So this past year was Melissa Bovey, and part of her prize was that we produced an audiobook of her winning title, Electric Trees. So she was so excited to have the opportunity to have her book produced into an audiobook. And now both the ebook and audiobook versions are available for you to license on the Palace Project. So be sure to check those out and help support Melissa. So just to sum it up, the Discovery Collection and the Indie Author Project are all about access, inclusivity, and community impact. With these collections, you're not just building your library's digital shelves, you're empowering local voices, expanding patron engagement, and making your collections more representative of the communities that you serve. So now I'll pass it back over to Cav, who will tell you all about how to actually purchase these titles.
Thank you, Nash. So how do we purchase the Indie Author Project Select titles? We know those titles sit outside of the Palace Marketplace, and this is really where the intake survey is going to come in handy. So if you're looking to purchase any content from the Palace ecosystem of content outside of the marketplace, our collection development intake survey would need to be completed. And once that's done, our team will work together and provide you with those titles, and it will be in the form of a summary. So the summary will have the publisher information, a description of that publisher, the title list, as well as the pricing. And of course, part of the questions that we're asking in the development questionnaire is for your budget, because we want to make sure that we're providing you with exactly what you're looking for at the budget that you're all looking to utilize for a specific collection. Once I've shared that summary with your library, all that would need to happen is that you would need to, of course, review the content. And you can also view that content on a web browser that will show you the book covers and everything else there. We can put together a very specialized landing page just for your collection that has been curated so that you can see that and not be overwhelmed with the 50,000 plus titles that are available from both the Discovery collection and specifically the Indie Author Project Select titles. Once I receive confirmation that you'd like to move forward with that, our implementation team would go ahead and they would include those titles as part of your collection, and they would live right alongside with any other titles that you may have sourced from any other for-profit e-content distributor and or the Palace Marketplace. And last but not least, invoicing is sent to your library at the first week of the following month to the individual or the individuals that you have on record per your billing instructions. But it doesn't stop there. So we talked about the simultaneous use, content, subscription content, perpetual content, but all of what we talked about so far when it comes to our Discovery collection has really covered a majority of ebooks. But we started working with a publisher by the name of BookBridge Unlimited, and they are offering audiobooks. So we understand that audiobooks are oftentimes very pricey. And so our goal is to ensure that by working with a publisher that stands in alignment with the Palace Project and Lyrasis, is to really offer and extend licenses that show that we are advocating on libraries' behalf. And so BookBridge Unlimited, they offer a core collection that has upwards of 5,000 titles. And those titles have really come in really handy for libraries, especially those who may be small libraries with a smaller budget or a more conservative budget for audiobooks. And those titles, very similar to what Nash explained, are the audiobooks that are in demand. They are not going to be your bestseller of today, but they are many of which bestsellers and award-winning titles that have historically circulated well in communities. And so those, of course, same with the intake questionnaire as far as to how to purchase content which lives outside of the Palace Marketplace platform. That is also one that you would need to utilize that form for us to complete and bring back to you a title list that meets both your budget as well as your specifications. And last but not least, we're going to talk about the benefits of Palace and the e-content offerings. Ultimately, we want there to be, for our library partners, a return on your investment. Oftentimes, libraries are very a little upset about the fact that this book didn't circulate and the licensing model has since expired. And they're trying to really make sure that as titles are added to their collection, they're going to be those that will circulate and not necessarily have to be a title where you have to purchase time and time again and year over year. But besides that, we want your patrons to be able to check out titles that are available now or that are always available. And that is where our perpetual and simultaneous content really plays a big role in making that happen for your patrons. In addition to that, we want to expand your catalogs with unique and exclusive and diverse content. Nash spoke to the unique content that we have to make available by way of our Discovery collection. When we speak about our world languages and the titles that are available that lend themselves to various 33 exactly world languages today. The only place that you're going to be able to source content where you can decide if you want to purchase a license outright, or if you want to continue to have perpetual licensing, which is perfect as well. Or again, if you want like a multi-year or just concurrent licensing model that we make available as well. So sustainable subscriptions for audiobooks is really important to be able to that kind of balance out your worksheets, if you would, when it comes to what are we doing, what can we expect, what is the cost. This is something that is extremely important to libraries year over year as things are changing in the financial climate for libraries. They want to ensure that they have a collection that's going to be sustainable. And subscription, as well as perpetual licensing models, lend themselves to establishing that goal. But most importantly, if nothing else, we really want to provide libraries with the benefit of having a choice as well as the flexibility to make decisions when it comes to their licensing of e-content, be it audiobooks and or ebooks. And to wrap it up, we did provide a resource page for our libraries that you can all take a look at. Of course, there's the PALS website, our marketing and promotional materials for libraries that are partaking in the webinar today that can look into that as a resource to further promote the PALS project. Of course, we have YouTube channel that has various training videos, mini videos, pocket-sized videos. We have the collection for if you wanted to see all the publishers that make up the Discovery collection. That's available for you there too. And if you're interested in taking a look at some of those book jacket covers, as well as even read some of those titles in the author project, you'd be able to log into the site there as well. And their administrator would permit you and grant you access, and you'll be able to freely view all the titles that they have available. Let me also mention that with the BookBridge titles, there are over 50,000 Spanish titles that are in ebook and audiobook, and many of those are also best-selling titles. And of course, yet again, our collection development intake questionnaire, that link has been provided for your library. And to wrap it up, Nash is going to share with us the results of the poll to the question, in a perfect world, what would an ebook license look like to you? Nash?
All right. For you guys.
No, oh, you got it.
If I can just get this window over here. Okay, there we go. Can everyone see that? Maybe?
Yeah, I can
Yes.
see it.
Yes, we
Okay,
can see it.
okay. So here are the responses. Thank you everyone for participating in the poll. It looks like we have 11 responses. I'm seeing a lot of perpetual access, ownership models, reasonable pricing, access to multiple patrons at once. So it's exciting to see some of the things that people are requesting or things that we already offer. Yeah, I don't know, Cav, anything you want to add about that?
No, I think that's really great. I feel that we've taken a lot of time and consideration into what our library partners are asking for, and to be able to deliver on so far, it seems that we tick the boxes on all of what would be the ideal licensing model. So that's, as you mentioned, Nash, very exciting to see. And, we'll be happy to keep taking these polls, because as we continue to evolve and further develop all of our e-content offerings, it's always great to know what is on the hearts and minds of our libraries and how can we better serve them. So this is exciting to see. Thank you, all who responded.
And it looks like we do have a little bit of time left. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. We're happy to give any more information. I know there were a couple questions in the Q&A that were already answered, but if anyone has any other questions, let us know.
Thanks, Nash and Cav. That was great. I learned a lot. Thank you. That was amazing. So just so we have a few minutes, I'll go ahead and read aloud the questions that were answered in the chat, and maybe either James, Michael, Nash, or anyone that would like to chime in to elaborate can. The first question was, what's your long-term preservation strategy for perpetual access content? And James, I saw you had spoken to this in the Q&A here, though. I didn't know if you want. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we're trying to offer libraries are options for hosting that content if they've acquired it in the past or have recently acquired it, have a place that they can control in how it is hosted and distributed and integrated into their system. So we are beginning to offer solutions for that. We do have limitations on what we can support, so things like metered content become they have some additional DRM requirements along that, but we do have a profound integration into Ingram's core source, so we are able to take on titles direct from publishers into our systems to be able to host those on behalf of the library, regardless of where they purchase those, if they would like. And so that's one of the things we are beginning to offer more broadly. We do it for some clients right now. And hope to expand that service offering in the future. But that should give the libraries, assurance that they have a nonprofit trusted partner in preserving their access to content, regardless of what a platform provider or research platform has recently done to their terms of access or their licenses.
Thanks, James. I should also add that depending on the publisher, and depending on which model was purchased, many of the perpetual licenses are movable to other platforms, so they can be taken to somewhere else as long as those platforms meet the same security level as what was purchased. The ownership model, which is fairly new, that's in the marketplace, allows the library also to move those files as they see fit to other platforms as long as they maintain. I believe most of those are one book, one user at a time. But those models also allow format shifting and things like that. So there's a lot of options for perpetual. And I just want to, given, it's hard to answer it without having specifics, but it does give the library, like James said, we can host things for preservation purposes, but they can also be moved frequently to other providers if that's a requirement.
All right, thank you very much. And the next question is, are you exploring working with academic book jobbers such as Gobi and Rialto? James.
Yeah, we actually do work with these platforms. Namely, these are both platforms. One is owned by Claravit and the other is owned by EBSCO. Gobi is owned by EBSCO, so our efforts right now are working with EBSCO to make their EBSCO ebook services available via Palace, and that would by extension include the content that you've purchased through Rialto. I'm sorry, from Gobi. For Claravit, we have already integrated into eBook Central, which is their ProQuest ebook platform. So content that you may have or used to have purchased through Rialto that is made available on EBSCO ebooks is currently available through Palace to our integration with Claravit. I hope I'm not flubbing those two. They both offer basically the same thing, just called two different marketplaces. But as we integrate with the service arm of those big platform providers, we by extension get access through Palace to those that content if you've bought it from a particular marketplace.
All right. Thank you so
Hey,
much.
Tara, and one
Oh,
thing
yes.
I want to add to the first question, so I was rereading it there, and I want to make sure we answered it fully and correctly for Charlie. Is I wouldn't say that anything that we do on the Palace side or with the backend we have is preservation to sort of the the academic definition of preservation, where things are moved offline, saved on tape, and things like that. That's a different service that we don't provide today with what we have here. What we do though is allow those licenses to be moved around. So if something were to happen, or the library wanted to move off of Palace or off of the system that we provide, that they could take those with them, the best we can with the publishers.
Thank you, Michael.
Yep.
All right, we have one last question. What about selling books in Gobi Rialto that are directly accessible on Palace? I think this one's probably for James.
Can you reread that question? I thought that was the earlier question, or is this different?
This is different. This just came in the Q&A. What about selling books in Gobi Rialto that are directly accessible on Palace?
Ah, that's an interesting path we haven't discussed. Largely, the marketplace that we provide is accessing the same publisher content. So being able to purchase from those different marketplaces, those marketplaces are they're generally wrapping that with their terms that their platforms provide versus being a marketplace for things on our platform. So we've taken the approach of being agnostic and vendor neutral on where you buy content to make available on Palace. But that does require, agreement from those marketplaces to make that content available here, as opposed to coming to the Palace marketplace and having that content show up on their platform. There's generally not a desire on their piece for that because their revenue model is tied to you buying content on their platform. And ours is not. So I hope that answers the question, but it is an interesting aspect of looking at that. We do, as a side note, for things like Indie Author Project, you can acquire those through different marketplaces because they've agreed to host that really popular content that we provide on, in those different marketplaces. But we haven't been able to, do that same type of arrangement for academic publishers. The publisher conversations tend to go that they already have that distribution channel already established with those particular vendors. So there's not a need to kind of duplicate it from us into them, if that makes sense to you.
All right, thank you so much. Jill, I saw you on mute. Did you have something to add?
I was actually going to pitch that to Nash to talk about distribution of the IAP collections because we do serve as a publisher in that regard. But in most cases, when we sell ebooks, we are the distributor and not the publisher.
All right. Oh, Nash, go ahead.
I was going to say, I can add more to that if anyone is interested. But yeah, with the Indie Author Project collection, we are technically the publisher. So we make that content available on Palace as well as other platforms like Biblioboard, Overdrive, Boundlist, Cloud Library. Um, yeah, I think that's the only type of content where we do that specifically.
All right, thank you so much. We're at the end of our time here. Oh, there's one more comment. Gobi Rialto offers publisher direct purchasing options. So just wanted to read that out here. Thank you, Charlie, for all of your great questions and everyone for participating. And thank you, Nash and Cav and Michael, Jill, and James for speaking today, answering questions. We appreciate it. So next up, we will take a break and we'll be on break and return at 2:40 p.m. Eastern. with community-driven development. All right, thank you.